What is a dress watch? Simple yet refined, displaying only the time. And okay, maybe a window to display the date, I'll allow it. A dress watch is a watch in its purest form, elegantly styled and with a slim profile to slide under those dress cuffs. A sophisticated, classic-looking dress watch is a must to complete your look for any formal occasion, and a must-have for any watch enthusiast. Beginning with the Rolex 1908, and for me, this is the most exciting thing Rolex have done in ages. Sure, if you want to pop up a mountain or nip down to the bottom of the ocean, or, just hang out with the boys on the yacht, then Rolex has got you well and truly covered. But this is a little different. It's a Rolex unlike anything else in the current collection. It's slender, elegant, and classic. It's named after the year in which a genie whispered the name Rolex to founder Hans Wilsdorf, while he was riding on the upper deck of a horse-drawn bus in Cheapside, London, and then later that day he rushed to the patent office to register the name for the brand true facts. The watch has a simple and elegant form in a 39 millimeter polished case here in 18 karat white gold, and it has a lot of attractive detail. The bezel is smooth and domed on the inside and fluted on the outside. There's a sword hand for the minutes and a brega hand for the hours, and a small second display at the 6-hour mark. There are slim faceted 18-karat gold hour markers, and I was surprised to see that the dial is actually a charcoal gray color. Despite the fact that Rolex listed as being intense black, but I think it's for the better. It's a bit different, and it feels more refined to me. But the farthest cry from Rolex's usual sporty offering is the exhibition caseback, which is something you hardly ever see them doing and through which can be seen. The Caliber 7140, a completely new self-winding movement unveiled in 2023 that finally shows off the beautifully finished Rolex movement. Next, we have the Omega Devil Trésor, with the Trésor line representing Omega's most traditional and sophisticated pieces. This is a banger in burgundy in a polished 40 millimeter case forged from Omega's own 18-karat Sita gold. That's a fiery rose gold alloy. The dial is glossy and rich in a deep burgundy sunburst, and it's domed too, as are the Sedna gold indexes, the curve giving the dial a plush appearance, sloping smoothly into a polished bezel. It's just clean lines all around, and the opulence of the appearance of the dial is mirrored by the movement inside the Caliber 8927. The Meta's approved manual winding movement is a beauty and a technical powerhouse, with a free sprung balance with silicon balance, spring two barrels mounted in series, allowing you to forget to wind it for up to 3 days, and it's abundantly finished in Geneva, striping in including the special Sedna gold balance bridge. The burgundy is a bold look, perhaps not as versatile as a black or blue dial, but you can imagine it, can't you? Dressed up with a burgundy velvet dinner jacket just like Eddie Redham, or dressed down even with a red velour tracksuit like Polly Walnuts. This is the Grand Seiko Spring Drive Skylake. Like Grand Seiko's flagship model, the Snowflake, this watch too has a dial characterized by its texture that resembles fluffy fallen snow but blue. As with most Grand Seikos, the dial is inspired by the natural environment close to and around the facility where it was created. This time, blue winter sky that colors the snow that covers the mountains nearby, and also, as with most Grand Seikos, it's impeccably finished. The edges of the hands and indexes are razor sharp and highly polished to a mirror finish, as is the case. And lugs, the Zeratu polishing technique allows for distortion-free image reflecting surfaces. You could even use it to check you haven't got bits in your teeth, which is an important feature for a dress watch, I think. Meanwhile, you get the perfectly smooth glide of the blue steel second hand and a fan-shaped indicator on the lower left of the dial that measures the 72-hour power reserve of the 9R65 spring drive caliber inside, which can be seen from the back of the watch. Like the snow depicted on the dial, this watch is crisp, clean, and pure. Now, if you want a sophisticated dress watch, go to Cartier. But to elaborate slightly, let me tell you about this Rotonde dearer Cartier watch. Now, everyone talks about the tank from Cartier, but I think this Rotonde is an underrated choice. It has all the defining Cartier features you know and love. Roman numerals, apple-shaped hands in blued steel, and a fluted crown decorated with a cabochon sapphire. The silver dial features a minute track encircling a ghost pattern in the center. And there's also a power reserve display and an indicator window if you want to know your weight, the date. And as a bonus, it looks a bit like that talking clock from that Disney film. What was his name, Coder or something? It's 40 millimeters, but slender and with a thickness of 8.94 millimeters. And it's in rose gold, and inside is the manually wound caliber 9753 MC. It's classical, it's class, it's a Cartier. An LUC watch from Chopard epitomizes the highest standard of Swiss watchmaking, meticulously crafted in-house to exceptionally high standards. And here we have the Chopard LUC 16875 in a 38 millimeter white gold case. The dial is clean and crisp, and it feels quite reserved, but there's actually quite a lot going on in there. There's a swooping croissant motif via an insert in the silver dial, the arc of which is matched by the large Arabic numerals, which increase in size as they reach the bottom of the dial, as do the markers of the small second subdial, and then between the shallow inset of the crescent shape and the thickness of the numerals, you get a nice variation of heights which brings some depth to it too. And it all sits together very nicely and feels subtle overall. Then on the opposite side, you can see one of the legendary Chopard calibers. This is the 3.96 with its solid 22-karat micro rotor. It's beautifully decorated and finished throughout. Now, Jaquet Droz are a watch brand outside of the mainstream. You tend not to hear much from them because they're not pumping out watches left, right, and center. But when you do hear from them, it's with news of intricate new watches or GPHG award nominations, like winning the mechanical exception category in 2015 for their tweeting bird inside a watch. A lot of their offerings are automaton watches like this John How designed Dragon watch and other such high complication pieces. So there's a lot of value to be found in their more traditional pieces. Like this Grande minute, the case is simple, round, and immaculately polished. The conical crown looks a bit like a cupcake, which is fantastic. And the dial is minimal too, save a few exquisite details. The navy blue surf is finished with Geneva striping, and there's a rectangular insert with a smooth bevel that slopes down to a date window. And then there's crisp sword hands for the hour and minutes, and an extra slim second hand powering the watch is the caliber 115P with a silicone escapement and a skeletonized rotor weight. It pops off the wrist and it's just flair beyond measure. So I thought next we could talk about the ultimate dress watch transcending elegance with its streamlined aesthetics and effortlessly refined dial design. If someone walks into a room wearing this watch, the room actually gets tidier. This is the JLC Ultra Thin Moon. JLC, famous for their pocket watch calibers of the early 1900s, have imbued the design of their first ultra-thin pocket watch of 1907 into this watch. This watch is everything. It's 39 millimeters in diameter, but the dial feels broader. It's minimal and spacious, but yet balanced, and it's both striking and understated at the same time. That's the genius of timeless design, I suppose. On the lustrous silver sunburst sorrel, there's slim rhodium-plated indexes and polished delphin hands and applied logo, and of course the moon phase display. With its deep blue sky and glinting stars and moon, it's very, very, very majestic. The timeless aesthetics are contrasted by technical mastery on the reverse, where the 925 caliber can be seen in all its glory, designed, manufactured and assembled under one roof at JLC HQ. This is a Vacheron constant turn traditional for this model. Vacheron constant turn combines the UT traditions inherited from the 18th century with a massive dollop of restraint. Everything about this watch feels so expertly calculated and perfectly proportioned. The case is white gold with a 38 mm diameter and an 8.2 mm thickness, and the dial is sparse, but the details are plentiful. You get a small second-hand subdial, which is stepped with a metallized bezel and a gray railroad track. There is another one too around the main dial, and you get a beveled date window and one gold dolphin hands. It's restrained, but the little dashing of pizzazz here and there sing really loudly, like the stylized 12 and 6-hour markers and the grooved coin edge around the case back. Now, simple and reserved is a really tricky look to pull off, but less is definitely more with this watch. But if you do want more, then just look at the back of this watch, where it's all kicking off with the automatic caliber, 2,455, with its oscillating weight in 22-karat gold, and with its premium finish throughout. This watch is discontinued. We're joined now by the Patek Philippe Calatrava. Now, when you think of the Calatrava, you might well think of legendary purity, I know I do. And some say the very idea of the round wristwatch can be traced back to the Calatrava. I think Patek Philippe themselves say that actually. And the Calatrava is no doubt the essence of timeless perfection in wristwatch form. And this particular model, the 6119G, is truly special. It's 39 mm in a white gold case with a bezel that's get with a hobnail pattern. The charcoal gray dial is satin finished with a vertically brushed texture, and the applied hour markers are white gold and faceted and then punctuated with a white gold pip. Again, you get dolphin-style hour and minute hands, and a small seconds powering the watch is the caliber 3255, and in keeping with its lineage, it's a pure manually wound movement. The details are sharp and precise and catch the light from all angles, and the play of light across the Geneva striped bridges on the back is particularly pleasing.